Yeah,
with
so
Chris.
who are the Watchmen?
The Watchmen was a group
Created
created.
a comic drawn by Frank Miller.
Pretty poor at a movie adaptation, apparently.
Honestly,
Comic was definitely better.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Watchmen's not that long of a movie. Anyway, Watchmen were a group which were created for the sole purpose of protecting Chris,
Right.
which did not work at all. They're broken up at this point when it was revealed that some members of the Watchmen were actively involved with trolling Chris.
Oh my god.
Backstabbing the Watchmen.
Well, this is why it's such a fucking mess. Like every
Yeah.
single person involved is, has questionable motives.
Yeah, because I only found out about the Watchmen from the recent events.
Yes.
Right. And there's like 3 or 4 other groups or something that were all involved in all this stuff, and they all have their own names and stuff like that.
When did documenting Chris really reach its peak of popularity?
Peak of popularity.
Well, now it's very popular.
Yeah.
But before this, I definitely felt like there was an increase of people who are benefiting and profiting off of Chris in many ways by making content around Chris in a almost harmful way.
This is definitely a more recent phenomenon in the past few years, I think.
Which is, I feel like where it started, it was kind of improving.
Yeah.
And Chris was not really involving much and people were not really trolling Chris as much. And then when the popularity of documenting Chris, I swear it feels like it then started going backwards and this trolling started to get worse again. And
Kind of coincides with the Idea Guys saga, no?
the Idea Guys?
The Idea Guys.
What's that?
It's another trolling group, which...
How many trolling groups are there? There's absurd
I
amount.
just love the names.
There's a
great.
there's a new one every month.
Yeah, okay. So the Idea Guys.
So the Idea Guys were very detrimental to Chris's psyche because they convinced Chris that all these different alternate realities, alternate dimensions of like anime land and all these cartoons actually existed and you could travel to them interdimensionally.
They were the ones.
Yeah, they were the ones.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so
and to this day, Chris still believes
that
they can access this different dimension.
Yes, and Chris actually believed that at some points they were possessed by like Sonichu and other characters,
And that they were Sonichu, right?
Right,
Or something like that.
Like they were like it was Sonichu speaking through their body for like a solid.
Don't worry about it.
It's a bad omen.
One of the Shishi was just like, all right, I'm going to yeet out. This is a bit too much for me, man.
Anyway, Sonichu was apparently talking through Chris's body for about half a year, honestly.
It's just like you can't explain. Like it's so hard to keep up with this because even when we watch the whole series in depth, it is so confusing and there's so much stuff. And we've barely even touched on the fact that one of the main aspects of what Chris was doing was making a comic about Sonichu and all the stuff was.
That's what really started the whole attention on Chris because their comic was so crazy and outlandish, and people realized that Chris was actually using the comic as a way to live out their own fantasies.
Yeah,
right.
Like a getting
self-insert.
like a self. Well, there was a self-insert,
Main character was Chris.
Basically.
Okay.
So they believed they were Sonichu.
Right.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
And then there were other characters as well, right? From what I remember, there was like Rose Chu and stuff.
Roschu is Sonichu's love interest and wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also, I believe Chris also at many points would include real people that would die or would,
Yeah,
principal or something, right?
There would be the main villains, but no one actually died in Chris's comics because Chris believed that Quickville was real and they didn't want to cause that much harm to the characters because they would feel hurt.
Right.
They really believed this.
I say right. But like, I
totally understand what's being said here.
Yes.
I'm totally following what's going on right now.
Also, one other thing that I also found very worrying was Chris's spending and lack of financial.
Okay, where did Chris get an income from? Now I'm curious.
Chris has a social security or disability payment called which Chris calls the tugboat. It's about $800 a month.
Okay.
And this is what Chris uses to pay off credit card debts and buy Legos, which brings him in. Which brings Chris into more debt.
Right.
Chris gets money and immediately spends it on like toys, Legos,
Yeah.
which is very disturbing because I think Chris's mother at the time wasn't working either, very old, needed, and they were mainly relying on the income that Chris was bringing in.
Already been like retired at that point.
Oh, they were. Yeah, no one's been working in that family since the 90s, I believe.
Right.
There's a very, very chilling video later on where Chris is getting their mother to promote Chris's selling of merchandise.
Yes.
And saying that they need money for food and stuff.
Right.
There's several videos like that. Honestly.
It's very concerning stuff.
Like merch is in like what?
Handmade merch by Chris.
Oh, it's like the Sonic Tune medallions and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, there were medallions. There
Yeah.
were signed photos, I believe, as well, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Jeez.
It's all very concerning
and
stuff.
I assume it's the trolls that are buying that kind of stuff.
I mean,
right? Just to like fuel the fire, I guess.
At this point, are they really trolls? Are they just like almost like fans?
Super
now?
fans.
People want to get in on it.
It kind of sounds like a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Where Chris feeds the trolls and the trolls feed
Chris.
Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just doesn't end. Yeah.
And by acquiring objects from Chris, they become part of Christery in this.
Yeah, that's it's serious. These people are very invested in it.
I love that term. It's
I really enjoy keeping up with it, but also I do feel like I'm consuming something bad. Like I am taking part and helping and fueling a very dark side of the internet.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also just so insanely fascinating, just because again we've never had anything like this in the history of the internet. I feel like it's so outlandish, right? Like is it a good
I'd argue
thing?
in the history of the world.
Honestly, like it's just so everything about it is just so outlandish. It just doesn't sound real.
I think because everything that should have protected Chris failed.
Right.
Everything that should have been a safety.
It feels
you
like
know.
this is almost like a case study, you know.
Yeah.
Of how not to parent, how not to
act on the internet.
how not to literally a case study of how not to do everything.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It feels like.
Anything about this, just don't do it. Yeah.
Do you feel, when you're, because obviously you're making the documentary.
Yeah.
How do you handle dealing with like the moral implications of it sometimes and struggling with that if you do it all like?
I usually don't.
Yeah, you just
honestly.
like whatever, just power through.
Yeah, because I convince myself that I'm just documenting. It's all right.
I agree.
Yeah,
I don't see what you're doing as anything inappropriate or wrong by any means.
Right.
Yeah, because it's not like you're like one of the trolls that's
It's
pulling
out there,
information
right?
out,
Right,
Like it's already
exactly,
existed out there, yeah.
But I think by watching it in its entirety or watching it in parts, you really do just end up feeling sad about the whole situation.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like if you hear little bits and you get very tailored information in a way that leaves out important details, you might be more likely to participate or fuel trolls to join in. Whereas I feel like if you watch the documentary, there's no way you can be sitting there thinking, yeah, I want to join in and troll.
Yeah.
You're just like, fuck, man, Jesus.
Yeah, definitely.